Hi everyone, it's Emma from MSC Mix, and this is a tutorial on how to crochet this really pretty chevron blanket. This is such a simple pattern. You don't need to know how to work any special decrease stitches or anything like that, and it has this really pretty peephole detail that goes down like this. Please note that I am in the UK and therefore I use UK based crochet terminology. This pattern only uses one stitch, which is a UK treble crochet. If you're in the US, or if you prefer to use US terminology, you'll know this as a double crochet. So to get started, you'll need your yarn and a hook. I'm using some DK weight cotton yarn and a 4mm hook, but you can use any yarn that you prefer. Just remember to adjust your hook size accordingly. So to begin, we'll need to work our starting chain. So we'll start with a slip knot. And I'm going to pop that on my hook, and there's quite a big multiple for this pattern. You'll need to chain in multiples of 24, and each repeat basically starts here and goes to there. So each repeat is one chevron, so for however many chevrons you want to do, you'll need to chain 24 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 48 just for this sample piece, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to work the first row. So I've just chained 48 stitches there, so that's 2 repeats, and once you've worked however many chains you're doing for yours, what you'll need to do is work an extra 3 chains, and this is going to be for turning. So for row 1, we're going to begin with a treble crochet. Remember, I'm in the UK, so if you're used to US terminology, that's a double crochet, and we're going to work that into the 4th chain from the hook. Now I like to work into the back bump of the chain, so I like to turn it like this. We can see there's our first one here, 2, 3 and 4. I do have a video that goes into that in a little bit more detail, but you can work into the chain however you prefer. If you prefer to hold it on a side, you can do that. So we need to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So the turning chain there counts as 1 stitch, and this is the one that we've just made. So that counts as our first increase. And what we're going to do now is work our way down to the valley of the chevron. And to do that, we need to work 10 treble crochets. So we're going to work a treble crochet into the next 10 chains. So I've got 1, and I'll just talk you through how to do that again. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And you're going to do that for a total of 10 stitches. Once you've worked those 10 stitches, we've now come down to this bit here. We need to create a decrease, but remember, we don't have to work any special decrease stitches or anything in this pattern. What we're going to do instead is just skip the next 2 chains. So there's 1 chain there, 1 there, and we're going to work a treble crochet into the next chain space along. And we're going to do that for a total of 10 stitches. So we're just working our way back up to the top of the chevron. 9 and 10. And that actually is pretty much done our first chevron there. You should see that is starting to go into the chevron shape already. What we need to do now, we've now reached this peak bit here, and we need to work an increase to compensate for the stitches that we missed, and it's really easy to do that. Into the next stitch, we're going to work two treble crochets instead of 1. So we've got 1 and 2, and we're going to do the same thing again into the next space. And that creates the top of our chevron. So if I show you that there, we've got both chains here and we've worked 2 treble crochets into each of those. And now we just need to work our way back down to the decrease again and to the base of the chevron. So we need to work another 10 treble crochets. So I've just worked my 10 stitches and we're back now at the base of the chevron. So we need to skip another 2 chains. So we've got 1 and 2, and we're going to work a treble crochet into the next one along, and we're going to do that for a total of 10 stitches to work our way back up to the top. Once you've worked all those 10 stitches, you should be left with 1 chain left. If you have the incorrect amount at the end, you just need to go back along the row, double check that you've skipped the right amount of chains and that you've worked 10 treble crochets in between the increases and the decreases. And into that last chain at the end here, we're going to work 2 treble crochets. And it's a really simple pattern because from now on, we're basically just going to repeat that row. So we're going to chain 3 and 10, and the chain 3 counts as our first stitch, but we need to start off with an increase, so we need to work 1 more stitch into that same space. So I'm going to go ahead and work a treble crochet into there, and then we're going to work 10 stitches to bring us to the bottom of the chevron. We've got 1. Okay, so I've got 1 more stitch to work, and we can see now that we're at this little peephole here, which is where we need to work a decrease. And to do that, just like before, we're going to skip these 2 stitches and work into the next stitch instead, and we're going to work a total of 10 treble crochets to bring us back up to the top. Now we're back at the top of the chevron, so we need to work our increase stitches, and remember we're going to do this twice because we've skipped 2 stitches here. We need to make an extra 2 stitches up at the top to compensate, and we just need to, same as before, do that by working 2 stitches into 1. So we've got 2 stitches here going into this same space, and we're going to work another 2 stitches into the next space along. So at the top you'll have 4 stitches altogether, and then we just need to work our way back down again by working our 10 treble crochets. And now we're back at the base of that chevron again, so we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to work another 10 treble crochets starting in this 3rd stitch along. So skip 2, work a treble crochet into the next stitch, and continue until you've worked 10 in total. And then once we get to the end of the row, I'm going to show you how to change colour. Obviously you don't have to change colour if you don't want to. This would look really nice if it was all worked in one plain colour, or you can change colours more often and do it every single row if you prefer as well. So I'm just coming to the end. This last stitch is going to look a little bit different because it's actually the turning chain from when we started. So I've just worked my 10 treble crochets, and I'm left with 1 stitch, which can be a little bit tricky to see because it looks different to the others, but it's here. And I always recommend using stitch markers if you find these difficult to see. As you work the turning chain, just pop a stitch marker through the top, and then it makes it really easy when you come back to working into the top of it. I like to turn it on a bit of a side, and then I can pop my hook under both loops of the chain and it just makes it nice and secure. And I'm going to work 2 treble crochets. Before you complete that second one, what we're going to do, so I've yarned over and pulled through, yarned over and pulled through 2, and I've still got 2 loops left on my hook. I'm going to drop this colour. I'm going to take the next colour that I want to work, and I'm going to loop that over my hook and pull it through, and then just give everything a bit of a tug to tighten it up, and then you've joined your next colour, ready to start the next row. So I'm going to go through one more row with you, but we are just essentially repeating that same row now, and I'm going to give you a couple of hints as well to make sure that everything is nice and lined up for you. So to begin, we just need to chain 3. And if you did want to use a stitch marker, this is the point at which you would pop it in. You would just loop it through that top chain there. And then when you come back to working the next row, you'll know where to put the hook. Remember, this counts as 1 stitch, but we need to start off with an increase. So we're going to work another stitch into that same space. And now we need to work 10 treble crochets to get to the bottom of the chevron. If you are not a fan of counting, which I'm not, I'm going to show you how to line up your chevrons so that you don't have to count the stitches. So just continue working until you reach the people at the bottom. Okay, and what we're going to do is stop when we're 1 stitch before this people. So we'll always be skipping the 2 stitches either side of the hole there. So you don't necessarily have to count, it's always going to be those same 2. And likewise, we can also line ourselves up when we get to the top of the chevron, and I'm going to show you what I mean in a moment. Okay, so now I've reached the top of the chevron again. If we look at the row below, we can see our increase here from the row below there. So we've got our 4 stitches. You'll always be working the increase into those centre 2 stitches. So look out for the increases, and then you're always working the increases in the next row into the centre 2 stitches. So you should always be working 2 stitches into those middle ones there. And those are our increases done. So now we need to work our way back down again. So that's another 10 stitches, or you can just keep on going until you reach that peephole, and we know that we need to skip the 2 stitches immediately either side. I've reached the peephole now, so we know that we need to skip these 2 stitches either side of it and work into the next stitch along instead. And now we're at the end of the row, we can just keep going until we get to the very end, until there's 1 stitch remaining. So I've just worked my 10 trebles now. I'm left with 1 stitch at the end, or the turning chain at the end, and we always start the row and finish the row with an increase. So we're going to work 2 stitches into the top of that turning chain. And to continue building upon that, you would just carry on working that same row. So you always start and end with an increase, 10 treble crochets to get down to the valley of the chevron, skip 2 stitches and another 10 trebles to get back up, and then you're working 2 increases before you work your way back down again. So I hope you found that tutorial helpful. I would be really grateful if you would like and subscribe if you did. Let me know if there's any other tutorials you'd like to see, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care everyone. Bye.